So now we will create a new project, and we will create now, for example, ASP.NET Core Web Application. It doesn't matter, you can create a console app, you can create whatever you want. Now let's name it like EF Demo. And we will take the simple one, and now we will choose, for example, the web application, MVC application, and we don't want to configure HTTPS, or we don't want to use any of this configuration, just create. So now this is our project. First of all, we need to create entities. Entities usually you can create it inside the models folder. Simply right-click model, add new class. I will create the first entity, which is like student entity. So this is the first entity we have. I need to create a columns or a properties. First one, for example, public, let's say integer student ID and get set. And also another one, public, let's take it string student name and also get and set. And another one like public date time, date of birth. Get set. So we have now just 3 properties, and these are the table columns. We need to make this as a primary key. We will use the data annotation. How we can do that? We can simply apply a property to this field called key. Key is not defined. We need to use a library called system.componentModel.data annotation. Just click on this, it will be added here. So this key will be now defined. So this column now is a primary key. And also, if we want to make this student ID identity in order to be auto-generated, and its value will be 1, the next will be 2, and so on. I can apply another property called database generated, and I have to include the schema library, which I can do from here, schema, and then I have to mention the type of the database generated field, which is database generated option, database generated options dot identity. Yeah. So now this is primary key, and its value will be automatically generated using the SQL server. And also, if we want to add a constraints to the student name, like for example the maximum size or the minimum size, I can add like min length, and I can specify the length. For example, I need the minimum to be 5 characters and so on. And also we can apply the maximum, and also, for example, 50. And also this means that the this field is required because the minimum length should be 5. And also, if I want to mention that the date of birth is also required, I don't want to allow this value to be null, I can just simply say required. So now we have an entity called student, and we have a properties, student ID, name, and date of birth. And we have constraints like the primary key, the database generated identity field, and we have applied the minimum, maximum, and required. This will be translated into a table, and this will be translated into a column. Now we need to go and create our DB context in order to have a connection with the database. After that, we can see how this can be translated into a table and this can be translated into a columns.